Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for getting the Labour message out, and just the warmth of the welcome that Rotherham's giving to this wonderful man. And Jeremy, thank you for being here. Over to the boss.
Sarah, thank you very much. Thank you, Rotherham, for coming here today. Thank you for your support for a truly wonderful MP in Sarah Champion. I'm very proud that Sarah is a member of our shadow cabinet, and I'll be even more proud when Sarah is a member of the cabinet representing women inequalities in this country, because she does things with such passion, and the absolute passion she has for justice. And there's lots I could say about Sarah, but you know her as well, or probably better than I do. But she's somebody that tenaciously sticks to what she believes in, and is absolutely certain that all women must be able to achieve what they want in life. That the violence against women and those that are vulnerable in our society must end, and we must legislate to make sure it is impossible for it to continue. So I was so proud of the effort that she put in to forcing this government into ratifying the Istanbul Convention to protect victims of domestic violence. Sarah, well done for that, and so many more things that you've done. Because if we're to succeed as a society, everybody has to be able to succeed in getting truth, in getting justice, and in making their contribution to society. This area has been through hell and high water in the miners' strike, with the issues facing the steel industry, the lack of investment from central government, and the way in which too many of our communities and too many young people have felt and indeed have been left behind by this government. And so on day one of a Labour government, I want to do what I did on day one that Theresa May became Prime Minister. I got up to ask her Prime Minister's questions for the first time for her. And I was thinking a lot. Now, what should I ask her? First question to her. And you know what it was? When are you, Prime Minister, going to open a public inquiry into the events at Orgreave during the miners' strike? She won't do it. We will. Day one of a Labour government, there will be an inquiry into Orgreave, so we will get to the truth and justice about that. Andy Burnham, Steve Rotherham, Sarah, and so many others have consistently raised this issue. People say to me, well, that was all a very long time ago. Well, it wasn't a long time ago, and the hurt doesn't go away with time. You have to open the books on these things, and that is what we will do. And so we have a chance in this general election of winning for justice, winning for truth, and winning for people. And today we launched our education plan, or part of our education plan. There's more to come next week. I've got the manifesto somewhere in my pocket here, but I'll let you know later on about that. But what we did today was set out our offer to young people in further education. The first thing we said was that we want all young people to have a chance to go into further education, to give them a chance to go into higher education. Take that back a bit. If you take away the educational maintenance allowance, if you underfund our secondary schools, if you underfund our primary schools, you close our Sure Start centres, something tells me that the generation not so long ago who were thinking infants, nursery, primary, secondary, college, university, it's all possible for me. Well, it was at a time. Now it's not. Now it's not, because of the way our education system is being treated by this government. I'm fed up with being told by Theresa May the solution to our education problems is to spend millions of pounds on grammar schools for selective education. Sorry, what I want is education for everybody, not for the few. And so, more and better preschool facilities, no more the closure of Sure Start centres, opening of new Sure Start centres. That is the Labour way. proper funding of primary schools so the head teachers don't go through the trauma of deciding which teacher they're going to get rid of, which teaching assistant they'll get rid of, whether they can afford to carry on with special needs coordinators, all the things that are so important, because that's what's happening in our primary schools. And I'm concerned that too many children go to our primary schools hungry. They spend the day hungry. They can't learn when they're hungry. So we will make sure, do what Labour Wales has already done, where they get school breakfast and lunches. We will make sure there's a free lunch available for every child in primary school, eating it together. Because that's got to be the message. We do things together. Doing things together is such a great message for those children. And then going to secondary and all the pressures and the stresses that go with that, and then hopefully on to college. So we will return the educational maintenance allowance to encourage youngsters to stay on in education, to get the good qualifications, the apprenticeships and the degrees that they deserve to get. Because we're being held back as a society, because we don't invest enough in our children, we don't invest enough in our industries, we don't invest enough in our future. The parallel of other countries that invest in education and invest in industrial development is that they all do better. Why is productivity in Germany 20% better than ours? It's not because people don't work hard here. It's because they're held back by the lack of investment and the lack of opportunity in so many things. And so it falls to us to make a different and better offer for everybody. And that will come out in a lot of detail next week in our manifesto. But fundamentally, our principle is that every child matters. Every child has an ability to achieve things. They have imagination. They can create things. And so one of my ideas, and which is going to be policy of our party and our government, is that all schools should get an arts premium so that every child can learn a musical instrument in school. Now you might say, well, what's musical instruments got to do with the future of all of us? Well, it's actually got a great deal to do with it, because children are creative by nature. And if they learn a musical instrument, they have artistic abilities, they grow, they do better at maths, better at English, and better at so much else. And we're better as a community when we're all able to pursue our ideas. But I also want to see education going on in life. So we're there for cradle to grave education. We will bring back the opportunities for adult education, for those to go back into college later on in life if they want to learn something for the benefit of learning, because that is what it's about. And so we make these offers for reasons that it's the great tradition of our movement that we do things better together. And so our industrial and economic strategy will be about the spending we're going to do on health, on education and on housing, and how we will pay for that, which will be by not reducing corporation tax to 17% or possibly even lower. We will put it back up so that those corporations, big corporations that are making lots of money, are making their contribution to our future. To help with a national investment bank that will invest fairly and equally on every region of the country so that we get the infrastructure that we need. It cannot be right that London and the South East gets 6 to 10 times more than that's invested in Yorkshire and the North East and the North West. It's got to be fair across the whole country, and I'm determined that we achieve that. But it's also about rights at work. Why is it that Britain, almost alone amongst European countries, is in breach of International Labour Organization standards? So we will repeal the Trade Union Act. We will give rights of representation at work. We will give rights of representation for health and safety as well as for equality in the workplace, because we want everybody to be able to achieve and contribute to our society as a whole. During our lifetime, we all probably get ill at some point. None of us want to be ill, and we are obviously nervous about it. But we shouldn't be frightened about it. We should make sure there is a health service there for all time. The NHS was invented, developed, promoted by Labour in the first place. It was an Aaron Bevan a former miner who proudly piloted that bill through Parliament in the post-war period. And the NHS is there as a human right, free at the point of use for all. The Health and Social Care Act, passed by the Conservative coalition government with Liberal Democrat support, has led to a lot of privatisation in our NHS, has led now to reduction in A&E departments, has led now to overcrowding, to long waiting times, waiting lists, and the concept of the corridor nurse within our hospitals. I find that appalling. And so we will immediately suspend the sustainability and transformation plans, look at them all again, and make sure there's an A&E department within reach of everybody in the whole country. I think that's the basic need. But we will also look seriously at the social care issue, because there are 1 million people cannot get access to social care. Social care is for those elderly dependent people, it's also for those with disabilities, it's also for those with special needs. If we believe in a coherent, cohesive society for all, then we have to provide those facilities and services for all, and we will do that. There is also a mental health crisis in our country. A quarter of us here today at some point in our lives are going to face deep trauma and stress, mental health conditions. We can get through it if we get support. We can get through it if we're not stigmatised. We can get through it if there's care and therapy available for us. Too many wait 6 months to get an appointment and get worse and worse. Too many of our young people sadly take their lives in a period of deep stress because they can't see any other way out of it. We have to invest in our mental health services. We have to, as a community, end the stigma surrounding mental health and reach out to people and not make jokes about them, not isolate them, actually help them and work with them, because surely that is the right way of doing things. So our message in this election is quite simply this. Last Sunday's Sunday Times, I don't suppose too many of you here bought the Sunday Times. I have to confess, neither did I, but I read the information from it. The Sunday Times rich list came out. The very 100 richest people in Britain own 3 times the equivalent of our annual National Health Service budget. That's a lot of money. And their wealth went up by 14% in 1 year. That is also a great deal of money. And a considerable number of them are donors to the Conservative Party, which will come as a great surprise to all of you here, I'm sure. I can't imagine why the very rich people of this country would want to donate money to a party that is creating a greater gap between the richest and the poorest. Figure it out. I think there's a bit of a connection here, don't you? And so what we're saying is, you elect a Labour government on June the 8th. You elect brilliant MPs like Sarah to represent all of you. You also elect a Labour government that is determined to protect industry and jobs in Britain by negotiating sensible tariff-free trade access to the European market. You elect a Labour government that is determined to invest in the future for all of our children. You elect a Labour government that will properly fund our education and health services. You elect a Labour government that provides real hope for all of our young people in our society. You also elect a Labour government that will measure itself, its own success, by the way in which poverty is reduced, homelessness is reduced, isolation is reduced, and that people are leading better qualities of life. That's what the Labour movement was founded to achieve, the representation of ordinary people in Parliament and ordinary people in power. So when we say it's for the many, not the few, we absolutely mean it. We absolutely mean it in the kind of world we want to live in and the kind of society we want to live in. Elect this Tory government again. What's it going to be like in 5 years' time? How many tens of thousands of homeless will be sleeping on our streets at night? How many will be waiting in A&E departments, hoping somebody will manage to get to see them? How many nurses will still be in the NHS since they cancelled the nurse bursary? There's very few going into training now as a result of that. What kind of world will there be? How many more injustices like Orgreave will remain covered over, under the carpet and forgotten? Our function, our very being as a party is about justice, justice for all. That means justice in legal sense, justice in terms of access to education for all, justice in terms of good quality services all, and justice for every single community across the whole country. We have 30 days until this election. 30 days to get a message out. 30 days in Rotherham to re-elect Sarah, but 30 days also to get out to all those constituencies that don't have Labour MPs, that need to have Labour MPs. We're going round all the Conservative-held marginal constituencies, as well as some of our Labour constituencies in our campaign bus. On Monday, I was in Leamington Spa. Now that doesn't reek off Labour name, does it? We went along, and there were a couple of hundred people from the local Labour Party there waiting for us. But they were joined by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more people who came out of the shops, came out of the offices, came out of the buses and cars to listen to what we had to say and join in. So when anyone in the media says to you, our message isn't getting through, I tell you, go on the streets and talk to people about it. There's a message getting through there. And we're slightly late arriving here today because we were in York this afternoon supporting our colleague there, a wonderful MP there, Rachel Maskell. The reason we were late is there were so many people in the square, St Helens Square, at the centre of town, we couldn't get out of the square in order to get on the bus to come here. There were more than 1,000 people there today. That is what is happening on the streets of this country. People are saying there's an election on, we're being told one thing, the reality is we want something different. Can I ask you to do two things? Elect Sarah as your MP, is that agreed? Everybody, yes, thank you very much. Three things actually. Secondly, make sure everybody you know is on the electoral register. There are still 1.5 million people in Britain not on the register who could be. And the third thing is to travel a little to some crucial marginal seats, crucial marginal constituencies, and ask those people there to come out and vote for our Labour candidates. I was in Elmet and Rothwell earlier today. I was in Morley and Outwood last night, and we're going to be in lots of marginals. They need your help. They need your spirit. They need the steel. Get it? Thank you, thank you. They need your steel to get behind them to get our government elected. Can I ask you to support us in this endeavour? Support us for the future of this country. Support us for the future of our children. Get out there, vote Labour, elect a Labour government, and we will make sure we have a government for the many, not the few, rather than a government for the few, not the many. I think you know the choice. Thank you very much.
What are you doing today?
We've been door knocking today. We did a right session this
How'd it go?
Really good actually, really well actually. I've got your present.
Oh, a present. Oh.
That's now the now the Yorkshire Club.
Oh, fine. I'm sure Arsene Wenger will forgive me on this occasion. I'm sure Arsene Wenger will forgive me.
Will's got to give you as well.
Huh?
Will, you're going to have to...
Yeah. What, you want Arsene Wenger?
Jeremy, Will's got a gift for you as well.
Hi, Mr. Corbyn. This is a badge to remember the two mayors that died in the Maltby colliery.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. The miners that died in the industry that gave us all light and power, we've got to remember them all. And I was extremely active with the NUM during the miners' strike, and indeed one of my proudest possessions is honorary membership of the NUM. Thank you. And we'll get justice for it.
And Tony is one of our young members. He's also part of the Youth Parliament in Rotherham.
Oh, part of the youth parliament. Well done, you. Great. How's that going?
Okay.
Do they ask you tough questions?
Occasionally.
You know, people you elect somewhere, they always want to do something. No, it's just bad. Oh, thank you very much.
Jeremy, I now need to... This is Ty Bennett, one of our local Labour councillors. We just got elected.
First election, and it was your first election as leader.
We did indeed. Thank you very much.
You honoured your promise.
I said I'd be here, and here I am. I said I'm here, and here I am. We had a very good meeting, the Steel Round Table here as well,
I heard that.
with John that day. It was
Great
really,
feedback.
really useful. That was.
You must meet this young man. He's from my ward.
Hello.
There you go.
How do you do? How are you getting on the council? You enjoying it?
Fantastic, and we got a great MP, so I feel we're quite formidable at the moment. And so yeah,
We're going to have
fantastic.
And then here's Haroon. He works for one of the local housing associations, which we really need.
Fully supported from day one. We're all with you all the way, especially Sarah as well.
Thank you very much.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
The people that elected you, and these are the same people who are supporting you as well, and many more. So welcome to Rotherham. It's a pleasure.
I'm not sure about my maths. I think this is the 36th campaign event I've done since the election was announced.
Many more to come.
Yeah, about 150.
Welcome.
We do about 4 or 5 a day, so it's a lot.
I'll just say hello, I'm the Rotherham Councillor, Jenny.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to see you, John. Thank you for what you do for our community.
Yeah, thank you.
I was a councillor once for 10 years. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I still see community centres that I've got built. I did.
Yeah, I'll
did
save
that.
one as well, so yeah. Round
I did that.
yeah.
Oh, well done, you.
I don't know where they are.
We have to.
Right, we are going this way.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I won't shake your hands, I know you.
Great eyeshadow. She's outrageous. If I didn't love her, I'd pull her off you.
No.
Jeremy, I've got to say, look at this young woman's eyeshadow. I mean, how beautiful is that?
How are you? How are you? What's your name? Nelly. Are you in college or what? How's it going? You'll get it. What's your study? And what do you want to do after that?
I want to be a nurse.
Good stuff. Let's make sure we got a bursary for you, so you don't end up in debt for doing something good for all of us. Well done, you.
Mr. Corbyn, my name is Salim.
Hi, Salim.
I'm originally from Kurdistan. I'm a member of the Labour Party from Sheffield.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your support for the Kurdish.
Thank you very much.
We have been
from the early 1980s. I've been involved with the Kurdish thing, and I've been at times to all parts of Kurdistan.
Thank you very much.
Let's make sure we get a settlement in the Middle East that recognises the Kurdish people.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome. You will have 100% support from the Kurdish community in Sheffield and Rotherham. That's what I can wish. All the best. You're very welcome. Thank you.
Jeremy, can I send you that way just so we can get a picture of you with you?
Thank you, Jeremy. Cheers. Thanks for coming to Rotherham. Thanks for that. Fully behind.
I'm going that way and out.
We're going to
Well, you're going to get a photo of that banner.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and get a photo.
No pressure, no pressure. Thank you. Of course you can. Do you want to do it this way so we get the sun on us? Turn around. I know about photography.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, all the best.
Jeremy.
Doing an amazing job.
25 in June.
When were you elected?
Last year. I was 23, it sounds younger.
Oh, that's even younger than I was. I was 24 when I was first elected. So you're even younger. Well done, you.
Thank you very much.
Doing a sterling job, honestly.
You're never too young to be a councillor. It's okay.
Absolutely. And we've got somebody else who's also...
Hello. Oh God. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Catherine, another young cat. She's the youngest councillor.
You're the youngest. How old are you?
I'm 20 now. I was 19 when I was
19 when
elected.
she got elected.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Brilliant.
Can I
That's
have a
superb.
picture?
Absolutely, of course you can.
Sorry.
That's superb.
I've got a selfie.
You enjoy it?
Yeah, it's great.
I've got my
It's
picture on.
tough going. I enjoy it.
There's stuff to read and everything.
Yeah. A lot of things to read. Thank you.
And never stop listening to the people. Never get rid of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Jeremy, how do you take that photo? Rather than your neighbour.
Yeah, get yourself up together and we'll do one together, yeah?
Right.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm being bad cop.
we're going to do this bit.
Yeah, we're going to do one more picture. Come on.
What we do is picture with the banner, then Young Labour, then we'll go. Yeah?
Great, excellent. Good idea, Jeremy, good idea.